Maha salute peeps. What's going on? Hope you guys are having a wonderful Saturday night. My wife happened to pass out on the couch upstairs, and I was like, you know what? Why the hell not make a live video? Talk to all my friends and all my people out there, and we're gonna talk some NFL draft content today because the Broncos are getting set to draft. I'm looking forward to the draft already because I feel like we're basically done in free agency. We might make a few moves here and there, but I think it's pretty clear as to the direction that the team is going, the kind of players that I'd like to see them add, given some of the major holes that they filled in on free agency. And by the way, I give the Broncos an A plus on free agency. So I definitely want to know how you guys are feeling about that. But let's get the ball rolling, man. Looking at the draft is very exciting because now you can make the argument that, even though we haven't signed a back yet in free agency, and I say yet because I do think one is coming, whether it be via trade, as you saw today with the trade of Jordan Mason going from the San Francisco 49ers over to the Vikings and a really good deal. I think a lot of those will happen. I also believe that regardless of what happens in the draft, we'll probably pick up another guy afterwards because there's always a lot of moves to follow after the draft. And this goes for really any position. And maybe Sean Payton likes this room a little bit more than we think. There's some guys that I think he feels like, with a year under their belt, they might be able to, compete a little bit more. It also seems like he really wants to undergo a youth movement, specifically on offense, continue the youth movement going, which I'm a huge fan of. Absolutely what I want and what I love. So continue to get some good young players, man, and keep building the culture. Kodiak Broncos, what's going on, my man? You can catch us on this Thursday, March 20th, on the Mic'd Up Broncos podcast with Mike Carmelini. I'm super excited for that. Me and Kodiak are going to go head to head, and we're going to battle out, man, have some good fun. So stay tuned for that. I did put some of the information down below in the description as you can check it out. And right off the bat, TW saying Luther Burden is a Bronco. You know what, man? I love me some Luther Burden. I think he was actually the first film review that I did. So check it out if you haven't already. I'm going to do a lot of updated ones on those because I think that they're all, there's so much more. Luther Burden is a dynamic player. My thing is how does he fit into what the Broncos need, right? So this is a perfect segue into talking about what it is that we want to talk about. I think the Broncos right now, we're obviously set with our wide receiver one and our X receiver in Sutton. Look for them to get an extension done with him. But if you look at, okay, if something were to happen to Sutton, who would step in as it stands right now? I think you got two options. You've got Devon Vele and you've got A.T. Perry, whom I love. Those are the kind of guys that I feel like would fit into that role. Then you got like your playmaker, he can do it all type of weapon in Marvin Mims. You've got Troy Franklin, who projects to be, the other side, outside receiver of Sutton, but he's not really that polished yet. He's not really a slot type of a player. So he's kind of in his own little world in terms of the position that he plays. And then who's your slot, right? Right now it's Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram's your best slot receiver, even though he's technically a tight end. You could put Vele to play the strong slot. But where would Burden fit, right? Burden would come in like he projects to be a little more like what Marvin Mims does, right? Maybe a little bit of a slot, more of a slotty player, obviously, so he could be a little bit more what Ingram does. So he could make sense, but is it the exact type of receiver that we're looking for? Are we looking for a true X receiver on the outside opposite of Sutton? That's my only concern, but I love me some Luther Burden. I think he's dynamic. I think he's a playmaker. And another guy that I think very similarly, just like Andy says here, starting to get infatuated with Savion Williams, ceiling perfect fit on a Sean Payton team. Yeah, man, and he was a former quarterback too, if I'm not mistaken. So he's got a little bit of those like Taysom Hill qualities in a sense of like what he can do, but not he's got more athletic ability than Taysom Hill. But I kind of think about that. But similarly to him, right, very, very raw prospect. So he's somebody that's really interesting, very, very interesting to me. And he's a hell of an athlete, man. So, we'll see. I don't know if that seems like a guy that Sean Payton would like to spend a day one or a day two pick on. I think he likes more of a traditional types of receivers, but, I could be wrong. I feel like he takes more flyers like that later on in the draft. And so when I pull up this thing that I got here, this is kind of a little sheet that I just put together for y'all, talking about some of the, zoom in a little bit. There you go. These are just like based off of average ADP that I've seen in terms of draft, right? But I think it's really interesting because when you break down the tight ends in round 1 or first round were, average drafting position based off of the public right now on PFF. And then you look at rounds 2 through 3 and rounds 4 through 6, you can kind of see that there's a pretty big fall off in every position at different times. And I think this is really helpful for me to be able to look at it and say, all right, like let's say we love Colston Loveland a lot more than we love any of these guys, then that can prioritize somebody like Loveland, right? If you love Omarion Hampton and you feel like your number 3 guy on the board is Quinshon Judkins and there's a really big fall off between those two guys, then you could take Hampton and so on and so forth. And you can see it. And based off of what I'm looking at here, and this is obviously all my opinion, and a lot of it is like, what do I like to do it? But then there's always me talking about what I think the Broncos will do or what I feel like makes the most sense for the Broncos, even if I want somebody in particular. Like if you ask me right now, would I rather, like, do I feel like there's a huge gap or let's just say almost 40 player gap between Omarion Hampton and Travion Henderson? I would tell you no, personally. TW talks about Caleb as a top back, right? And there's always, everybody's going to have their opinions, but I'm not a big Caleb Johnson fan. I feel like if you're looking at Caleb Johnson, I think, and I look at him, okay, he projects to be a pure third down runner, right? Big guy, fast, athletic. I think Genty's obviously better. I think Omarion Hampton's better than that. I think Quinshon Judkins has got more ability when it comes to a true 3-down back than Caleb Johnson. And I just like Travion Henderson more as an overall player. But yeah, I can see that. But this is kind of the purpose of the exercise. It's not to talk about like who's right, who's wrong, or what my opinion is versus anybody else. It's really to say, is it worthy to wait to the second or the third round to be able to get a running back? And I've been saying this, that I feel like it is. I mean, as much as I love Omarion Hampton and as fine as I would be with them taking him at 20, it just doesn't really make the most sense for me to take a running back in the first round when you can get any one of these guys in rounds 2 or 3. And maybe in the first round, you can take advantage of getting one of these tight ends or one of these playmaking receivers. And I didn't even add on here the unbelievable defensive linemen that there are, right? I mean, the Walter Nolans, Derek Harmon, one of my favorite players on the board there. There's some great pass rushers if you wanted to go edge. So there's a lot of really good guys, and it just depends on where do you see the fall off happening, right? And where do you see the value? Another thing with running back too, guys, is the shelf life for backs is 4 to 5 years on average, it's less. So teams they think like this. This is why running backs typically don't get drafted really high. Genty will, because he's a generational type of a talent, but it might not always be the smartest move, based off of where the teams are at. And I also think that really good running backs help to go on really good teams. Like, for example, if the Broncos took Omarion Hampton at 20 and then, I don't know, the Raiders or the Jets took Genty, at 6 or 7, Omarion Hampton's kind of set up for better success because he's going to be on a better team. Or, I'll even say like Omarion Hampton goes to like the Chiefs, for example. That would be terrible. But just as an example, like you can see that being a better situation. Omarion Hampton would make more sense to a team like the Chiefs than a bottom of the barrel team who, by the time they're even good and by the time they even maybe find their franchise quarterback, now you got to pay one of these running backs. They got 4 years to tread on the tire, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of that happens. So yeah, it's really, really interesting. And that's why for me, man, I look at it like, yes, I believe the Broncos are going to draft a tight end or even 2 more. I think they are definitely going to draft 2 running backs. And then they're going to fill a lot of different holes, right? I think they're going to draft a wide receiver. I think they're going to get some defensive linemen, and the defensive lineman group, I think, is super deep depending on what you're looking for in this draft. And if you really want to get some of the high end, top end players, you should do so. And you can do so in the first round. It's a very valuable position too. And then you can look at filling other holes later. So I want to know what y'all think, man. Andy's in the chat, and Andy is like, of the people that I've personally interacted with, I can already tell you the most savvy and the most knowledgeable when it comes to draft content. So I take a lot of the things that he says seriously. And he talked about Savion Williams. You got to listen. He said, all my board numbers subject to change, making the board tonight. Hampton is 14. Henderson is 35. Caleb is 39. And Quinshon is 52. And that is really interesting. Like that Hampton number 14 and then the drop off of, 21 players. in between him and Henderson is super telling. And I can understand that. And another crazy thing too is like, what does the team need? I felt like if the Broncos were to have gotten Rico Dowdle, let's just say for an example, then the running back that we take in the draft, for me, the guys that I would want would change based off of that. If the Broncos were to get Aaron Jones, that would make it change differently than if we got Rico Dowdle. So now it's cool because we could just be like, man, let's get ourselves, a bigger, stronger back and a more dynamic, quick receiving back. We could do both. And this is definitely the draft to do so. But I love that, And I think, for me personally, if you're asking I love me some Omarion Hampton, but I don't know if it's a huge drop-off between Hampton and who I've been looking at a lot more in Quinshon Judkins. I think he's just such a dynamic, strong player. He just doesn't fumble, man. Contact balance is really good. He's awesome. Trevion Henderson's my second favorite, my RB2 still currently. But that's really changing because I felt like they were going to be looking for a pass catching, dynamic, quick running back. But he's an amazing player too. And so I love what Trevion can bring. I just feel like his pass blocking is really good. His ability to catch the ball is solid enough for a Sean Payton offense. And my God, can that dude absolutely fly. I love it. But I mean, dude, I'd be good with, Omarion Hampton, Quinshon Judkins, or Trevion, or even Caleb Johnson, depending on where we got him. I'd be good with all of them and then stacking up with one of these other day 3 guys. LaQuint Allen that's my guy right there. I love him. He's always been one of my favorites. Him and Kyle Monangai. But yeah, it's interesting. So I guess we could play a little game. We can make it a little interactive here. Talk about a couple different scenarios. So I'm going to kind of go through different scenarios. I want to get everybody's thoughts. So let's say in the first round, the Broncos ended up taking Derek Harmon, a defensive lineman. Right? And then the second round comes along and you have an option between these tight ends and these running backs given, or you know what, let's just open it up and say all 3 of these guys in rounds 2 or 3. 2 and 3. So I want to know who you guys would choose between those guys. I think if we took Derek Harmon, I would love to see the Broncos take, Quinshon or Trevion Henderson in the second round and then follow it up with like a Jack Beck as a receiver, somebody that I like a lot. I could also really get on board with Xavier Restrepo for looking for more of a slot guy in the third round. But I really, really dig that. But then, that really leaves you susceptible at tight end. So this is why this is fun, because it's like I want to get one of those backs in the second round. I like it there. You could also go with like Elijah Arroyo in the second and, DJ Giddens in the third, or you can go with Quinshon Judkins in the second and Terrence Ferguson in the third, which I would probably like more. So I dig that. Andy says in round 1, Derek Harmon. In round 2, you trade up, snag Henderson. And then round 3, Savion Williams or Jalen Royals. So I love that you actually brought that up, man, because that is like the moving back up into the second round is something I'm a really big fan of. Like if we can figure out a way to trade back a little bit in the first and then trade up in the second, I love it. You get 2 guys in that 25 to 50 range, 25 to 40 range even. I think you're really going to be cooking because that's kind of the meat and potatoes of this draft. I like that one a lot. But all things considered, not being able to trade, you take Harmon in the first round. I think all these tight ends will be available for you at 51. So those are all options. And I think I would say Caleb Johnson would be available. Let's just do this. I think Caleb Johnson's available for sure at 51. I think, this is what's tough because I can see Quinshon being available. I don't think Trevion's going to be there. I think Scatterbull will be there. And then I think obviously these 3 guys will be there too. So Trevion is kind of that kicker, right? So that's something that you would have to think about. But I mean, I'd still be good with going with, Judkins in the second round. And then I'm fine with going with like a Terrence Ferguson or a Harold Fannin in the third, because I don't think that there's a significant of a drop off there. And then you can take one of these other receivers. I really love me some Jalen Noel too. I think he's a really good player, man. But Jalen Royals is a stud. So it's crazy. This is a really unique draft, and it's one of those that I think is, from a situational standpoint, it's cool. There's also some guys here in the third, in the rounds 4 through 6 that I think could be super valuable. I think Brashard Smith is, honestly, I don't think he's going to go in the 4th. I think he's probably going to be a day 2 guy. This is just based off of ADPs, but he's getting a lot of hype, as he should. LaQuint Allen, too, is one of those guys that I think can go a lot earlier than what people are saying. But Damian Martinez is a stud. He's kind of that 3-down physical back along with Devin Neal of these guys. Otherwise, there's a lot of really fast, athletic guys, but might be a little bit more undersized. So going through that scenario, it kind of makes sense. If you want a bigger, more power back, you might have to get him in the 1st, 2nd, or 3rd round. So either day 1 or day 2. So I dig this, man. This is fun. Ricky White, one of my favorite late round Flyers wide receiver. He's just a fun player to watch. Unbelievable special teams player. And shout out to Kodiak. He had an awesome video earlier tonight mentioning Ricky White. He's just somebody that's fun. Efton Chisholm is that kind of little small white slot receiver that has had a lot of success in the league that you see that can be a late round guy. And I'm really curious to learn more about Nick Nash. PFF kind of put me on him, so I don't know if I'm missing anything with him, but he's someone that I want to take a look at too. Yeah, Aaron Taylor. I 100% agree with what Aaron's saying here. Because I feel like I keep going back to the whole thing of just the type of receiver that Sean Payton loves, right? He just likes the big athletic receivers. And I think that personally, I think that Sean Payton will be a lot higher on Jaden Higgins than maybe some consensus teams will. I also think the same thing about Trey Harris. I think Sean Payton would really, really like a wide receiver like a Trey Harris and an Alec Ayomanor as well. Those 3 guys I feel like are going to be higher on Sean Payton's board than maybe the consensus rest of the NFL, but that's obviously just me guessing. But yeah, I mean, Jaden Higgins is damn good. He's a really, really impressive player. Kind of was intrigued by him before the draft, and then after the combine, he had a crazy good combine. Put me on to him a little bit more. So, interesting type of player. And I could see him liking Jack Beck a lot too, Jack Betch, but he's somebody that, we'll have to just wait and see, because he could go a lot earlier than people think too. So he's a really, really good player there. I dig that. All right, so let's just move this over then and bust out some mock drafts. Let's just have a little bit of fun with this and see if let's get it cooking here. All right, so I already put this together here just to kind of talk about. So what I had done in the settings was, let me move you all over to this side of the screen. All right. So what I've done with the settings here is I did it so where it was like a little bit of a mix between the public board and the PFF board. So it was kind of more balanced a little bit. And I feel like this is honestly realistic in terms of what would happen in the first round. The main guys, Ashton Genty goes at 4. So I think he's going to go earlier. Tyler Warren goes at 9. Jahdae Barron's gone. Kenneth Grant went 17. All right. So who do the Broncos got? Let's go position by position. Wide receiver. Oh, man. Luther Burden, Emeka Egbuka, and Matthew Golden. Those are probably the only 3 guys on this list that I would consider in the first round at 20. Matthew Golden being definitely my number 1. I am so aboard the Matthew Golden train. It's getting to the point where I really feel like he's going to end up being like my guy. I love the dude. And I would take him in the first round. I think he's going to be just dynamic in the NFL. He's so good. So those are 3 guys. Emeka Egbuka I love too, and I feel like he's an awesome player. Going through the running back scenario, right? This is the most interesting. Omarion Hampton is the only running back that I would absolutely consider in the first round. Right? There's a lot of really good ones, but I ain't taking the rest of those guys in the first round. So here's what I start to think, right? Like, are you willing to take Omarion Hampton to lose out on an opportunity to get a Matthew Golden that you love or a Colston Loveland that you love? That's what you got to think about. And that's why every time, even though it'd be so fun to get Omarion Hampton, because I love drafting running back. Like, I just love the running back position in general. It would be one of those where it'd be tough. It'd be tough, man. I want to know what you guys think. What would you guys do? Matthew Golden at 20 would be a dream. I agree with you. I love Alec Ayomin too. If it's in the third round, I would be pretty shocked, but I would be thrilled if he was there available. This might hurt a lot of the CU Buffs fans, but he absolutely toasted Travis Hunter for 13 catches. 7 of them were on Travis Hunter. This is in one half. 2 touchdowns, 180 yards, but he had 13 for like 200 something. It was crazy. The dude is a really, really good talent, really special talent. Is this true? Nah. It's not true, right? Michael Malone not gone? He should. A lot of people think he should be after what the hell is happening tonight. But don't be scaring me, Daniel. That'd be cool to break some news, though. Break some Nuggets news. I dig that. I can't see Denver taking a wide receiver in round 1 unless it's in a trade back scenario. Yeah, I agree. So right now we're just kind of going through what I would do. If it was me and all these guys were available, right? And I knew I could walk away with one of them, I'm looking at trade back. Whether it be to any of these guys that are interested in trading back. Apparently, the half the league wants to trade me according to PFF. So I like the idea of trading back, but not too much. Maybe you trade back with the Rams. Well, let's just see what happens. We'll give y'all 20 for number 90. We'll take all of the stuff from them. We'll just do this just for fun. And so now what happens is you missed out on Matthew Golden, you missed out on Buka and Burden, and you still have the ability to take Harmon. You still got Loveland. Should still have Omarion. Yeah, see? Ideal scenario. So I think if things fell like this, it'd be so tempting to take Derek Harmon. It really would. But I'm not gonna for my boy Andy, and he'll know why here in a minute. But Matthew Golden was gone. Damn, see the run on receivers. So that could be telling. Yeah, for the sake of this, we're going to be boring. We're going to take Colson Loveland just to see what happens. And then you get to here, right? So here's another scenario. I brought up Andy because of Alfred Collins. I talked about how, he's somebody that I know is very high on Alfred Collins. He's an extremely impressive player. What I like about the guy is he's got, incredible size. Like I love anybody that's 6'5" and well over 300. Especially in the 3-4 defense, because they can play the end, they can bounce into the middle and be the one tech if needed. And he's an explosive person, and he's somebody that I think you can get in the second round when we're picking, and he would be awesome. He'd be really good. So I'd be totally fine with that. But it's also one of those areas in the draft where let's just do it as a scenario, right? Let's say you take Alfred Collins, and then you're looking, you're saying, oh man, we have no running backs that we've taken. And you wait until the third, you've got to make sure that you're okay with one of these, like any of these guys being your main back going into the draft. And like, I'm intrigued by Devin Neal. I like Damian Martinez as like true 3-down backs, but nobody else really tickles my fancy here. So just some scenarios you got to think about. We'll do a couple more and then we'll hop off. But oh my God, the Nuggets actually lost. That's crazy. They lose on a buzzer beater? Let's see. Hold on. Sorry. Yeah. Jordan Poole hit a 3-pointer with 2 seconds left. Damn. Nuggets are embarrassing, bro. That's crazy. Anyways. ADD kicking in. Let's go. All right. So similar type of scenario there, right? So last time we came out with Colson Loveland, Alfred Collins, and we'll call it Devin Neal, right? Those are the 3 that we walked away with. This time around, let's go with Matthew Golden at 20. Let's go with Trevion Henderson at 51. God, that would be a dream. And then now you look at this and you say, all right, if you want to run it, if you want Jalen Royals, he's right there. That would be an awesome scenario. You got to look at some of the interior defensive linemen. Jordan Phillips is somebody that's intriguing. I'm not high on Deion Walker really at all. I know a lot of people are. CJ West, I think, is a really good nose, but you can get him later. But yeah, there's a little bit of a drop-off. Jamari Caldwell is somebody I'd like to get maybe in the 4th round too. But that's where it gets kind of interesting. So you're looking at it and you're saying, all right, we got a receiver and our running back. Let's see tight ends, yeah, you can still get any one of these three guys that you like. So in this scenario, man, I absolutely love this. Like, I love going with somebody like a Matthew Golden, who I think is just a playmaker at the wide receiver position. Travion Henderson, who's just these are like both my man crushes. So I might be biased, but this would be like an ideal draft, my number one scenario when it comes to first and second round picks, to be completely honest with you. I don't see it happening, but it'd be awesome. And then here, I still love me some Harold Fannin. Now, with the addition of Evan Ingram, we might need somebody that's a little bit more of a traditional tight end, like a Mason Taylor makes a lot more sense for the Broncos now. But Gunnar Helm's a hell of a player. Harold Fannin's a hell of a player. Mitchell Evans, you can get way later, and I'm not really big on. And same thing with like Oronde Gadsden, yeah, right there. So, shoot, this would be tough, man. Let's see who they got just in general. Who do you go? Let me know. And then, I want to know what you guys think. Like, what's the fall off between Matthew Golden and Jalen Royals, right? Because those are some scenarios that you can think of. So this is kind of how my mind goes when I'm looking at all these different situations. I think to myself, damn, where would you go and what would you do? And that's what makes the draft so damn fun. And I love the fact that it's just 3 days of awesome entertainment, everything about it. But Jordan Phillips, yeah, 6'3", 320. According to PFF, he's pretty solid, but compact, powerful lineman. Is a little bit shorter than I like. Redshirt sophomore, so he's probably pretty young. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if he's a third round type of guy, right? So, in this scenario, I'm probably going to go with one of these tight ends, to be completely honest with you. Yeah, but look at that. I mean, your boy Savion is available fairly late too here, according to here. Let me go up here real quick. Sorry. Yeah. So, I mean, according to them, their ADPs are going to be in the 80s. So, there's a really good chance that at least one of those guys will be available for us in the third round. So that makes you think, all right, you swap out Matthew Golden for somebody else. Like, if you love one of those guys, maybe you do. Maybe you get, a Loveland there or a Derek Harmon or whatever the case might be. But if the board fell exactly like this and we already had our wide receiver and our halfback, it would be tough, man. This would be a really, really difficult decision for me. Looking at all, I don't really like Bassa all that much. Who would you all take? William says, why not Emeka Ibuka? Me personally, my personal opinion is that it's like him and I like Golden and Emeka Ibuka more than I like Tet McMillan. Personally, I think Emeka Ibuka is phenomenal. I don't know if the Broncos will end up ultimately taking him because he's pretty much strictly a slot receiver. So I don't know if that's something that is overly important in Sean Payton's offense. That's just my opinion. I could be totally wrong. He seems like a Sean Payton guy from a standpoint of like what you hear about him with his work ethic and the leadership and all that. But I love Emeka Ibuka. I if it was me, I would take him and Golden over Tet McMillan for sure. But I also think that Sean Payton would love Tet McMillan. I think he'd be drooling over somebody like him or Jaden Higgins, like was talked about earlier. So, yeah, I mean, I agree 1,000%. Emeka Ibuka is so damn good. All right. Jason said it. We're going to go. He wants to go with Jordan Phillips. You know what? Ricky White, no matter what. We're not at that point of the draft yet, Kodiak, but I got you, dude. I got you. We're going to do it. He says, Jordan Phillips, I can't get myself to do that because of Damari Caldwell, and I feel like he will be available. I feel like he would be available one more round. One more round. So, what am I going to do here? Shit, man. If I was the Broncos, I'd even consider taking one of these tackles. Marcus Bo or Wyatt Milam. Got to get a tackle for the future. I don't think McGlinchey's going to be here after this season. And even though, Polcheski's a stud, it would not be bad because between McGlinchey and then, Bowles, they're not going to be here long term. Only problem is where are they going to play early? They're probably not. But it wouldn't be a stupid pick. It'd be kind of an annoying one, but it wouldn't be stupid, in my opinion. I like the idea of going defense. I'm going to see if there's any edge guys that I really love. You know what? We're gonna do it. We're gonna go David Walker because I think he's interesting. You're probably like, what the hell are you doing? Oh no, David Walker's wild. I mean, his PFF grades are crazy insane. And if you can get yourself a really good edge rusher, why the hell not? Why the hell not? Just keep adding to that room. But I really just wanted to do that just to get onto this round more than anything. So here's another example of what I mean. So we waited. We could still get Gunnar Helm, so we didn't have to overdraft him in this particular scenario. You can also go in and look at hey, by the way, Kodiak, this is for you, bro, right? So let's go down here. Ricky White's still available. All right. I'll also owe you one of these. So here. That's for you. Inside joke. If you know, you know. If you're in the Discord, you know. So join the Discord, guys. Check it out. It's free to join for the first 30 days. If you like it, we have a great time. Continue with it. If not, you can peace out. But I highly recommend it, man. It's awesome. There's a lot of really, really smart people. A lot of the guys in this chat right now are in there. We're always breaking news. Andy's breaking news before. I swear to God, he puts things before Schefter even does. And we just have a good time, man. It's awesome. So come check us out in there if not. All right, another guy that I talked about was, oh no, he's gone. Oh my God, Caldwell's gone. Totally should have taken him. That sucks. That's going to bite me in the ass, isn't it? So I'm going to have to go with like Tonka or something later. Damn. That really sucks. That really, really sucks. All right, which tight ends we got? We're going to have to go with Gunnar Helm. We're going to do it. We're going to roll with Gunnar. And then now these 3 6th-round picks get very interesting, right? Because the Broncos, they had a visit with that Cam guy quarterback from North Dakota State. I just remembered today I got to look into him more and maybe do like a video breakdown, because from what I saw in the very, very brief that I looked, he seems like, is this Sean Payton's like Taysom Hill type of guy? He's like a hell of a running quarterback, big dude, can kind of give you some unique looks. The fact that we gave him a top 30 visit is very eye-opening and is not being talked about enough. So I want to know you guys' thoughts if you know anything about that North Dakota State quarterback. I know his first name is Cam. Cam Williams? No, maybe not. If Walker can make the jump, he could be a steal in 3rd round. Maybe you're talking about David Walker. Yeah, I would agree, man. And then he says Riley Mills can replace JFM. And this is my point. I don't think the Broncos are going to give John Franklin Myers an extension. They might end up like in the middle of the year or after, maybe. I don't think they're going to do it now. So it's going to be a prove it year. And does he have anybody behind him that's ready to just step in? I don't think, what's his name? Owazurike is, right? So you talk about long-term. Yeah, that's why someone like a Derek Harmon would make a lot of sense. And yeah, you like Riley Mills, huh? From Notre Dame. I haven't looked into him too much, to be honest with you. So he could be somebody that's really interesting. I definitely don't want any of these guys at this particular. Oh, this is the 6th round. Yeah, no, that would make sense. So yeah, that's an interesting take there. I like that one a lot. I'm gonna end up. I haven't even addressed the D-line, have I? I don't even know. At this point of the draft, man, it gets tough for me. So I'm probably just gonna not do the rest of the draft. But here you go. Let's do it. Let's do one for the boy, Ricky White. We're gonna do this for all of our favorite players. That's Kodiak's. LeQuint is mine. I love that dude so much. And yeah, Tyler Show will definitely be gone, Jason. No doubt about it. He'll be gone in this. He's like consistently available this late, but I think he's someone that's going to go really, really early. Maybe we'll get Jay Higgins. So interesting draft, man. Let's see what they graded me. PFF never really grades me all that good. They gave me a B-, bottom 18%. I don't really care what they say. But yeah, interesting stuff, man. That's why it makes the draft so fun. I can't wait to continue doing a lot of the a lot more prospects and stuff, really ramping up that, the deep dive into the film and stuff whenever I have time, with work being really crazy right now too. But it's a great hobby. But thanks to all you guys in the comments, man. This has been legit. This was real. I appreciate it. Jason, Bonnie, Andy, TW, William, Kodiak, of course, Daniel Miller, all y'all. You guys have been great. Appreciate y'all. And thanks for doing this, man. If you guys enjoy these kind of live sessions where we just kind of do some different mock draft scenarios, I love it. Anybody ever wants to hop on a video and just do a mock draft where we do alternating picks, y'all let me know. Hit me up. I'm always down. I love those kinds of things. I love to watch them. So I feel like being a part of them would be a lot of fun too. So let me know. Let me know in the comments, guys, below. Who are your draft guys, your must-haves in every single round, and why that is. Otherwise, go Broncos as always, baby, and peace out.